Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. I'm reading from Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12 to start with, and we'll see how far I get. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. This is one of the most famous proverbs in the book. It's a memory verse for many people of God. Mankind is always coming up with a new, quote, conventional wisdom, and mankind's wisdom always leads to death. The great advanced white European countries in their magnificent sense of right ways went on a killing spree in the 20th century, completely unimaginable in the history of humanity. Patriotic, God-believing men of so-called Christian countries went on a century-long frenzy of blood and fury, couched in religious terms, wearing belt buckles that said God mit uns or God with us, the battle cry of the late Roman Empire and the Byzantine Empire, taken over by Germany, and singing God bless America and God save the King. It was all the right thing to do by someone's standards, and you'd be hard-pressed to hear a German, Englishman, Frenchman, Russian, or American saying that their participation in either World War I or II were the work of the devil and not God. In the same respect, America would never say that Satan duped them into the Korean War or any present-day military action. No, our ways are right to us. The results have been astounding, with 100 million murdered in the last century. Samuel Johnson, the second most quoted man in the English language after Shakespeare, said, quote, "Patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel." It appears to be so for all Gentile nations at all times. In the 1960s, it began to seem right to, quote, "do your own thing," to follow your own path, to march to the beat of a different drummer. The results were also amazing. 50 new kinds of sexually transmitted diseases, generations of lost children growing up with no real parents, millions totally dependent on a bankrupt government for their daily bread. What we were doing just seemed to be the right thing to do. It was a new way for us, a more progressive society. The problem with both of these scenarios is that God wasn't a part of either, except in allowing us to proceed down our way as part of His judgment on us. What about your way? Is it God's way? Are you walking the way of death, or do you seek God's true will in everything? I'm not talking about your own human imaginations, where you think God has laid something on your heart because it seems good and godly, but where your desire lines up with His words in this book. Does your way line up with Romans 12:18? If it be possible, as much lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Or does it line up with 1 Thessalonians 4:3? For this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that you should abstain from fornication. Man's ways are false, destructive, and murderous. Even his best intentions without God are a disaster given enough time. Anything you do without God is doomed to failure. God granting you mercy for some unknown reason in spite of yourself notwithstanding. Excuse me. Proverbs 14:13. Let's try that one. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. The laughter of the sinner who is delighting in his wickedness is empty and hollow because it hides a deep and abiding pain and confusion. They run to drown their feelings in alcohol and drugs and appear from the outside as if they're having a great time. This often attracts young people into the life of the partier who literally runs after work to the bars or parties. The seeming fun and happiness is just a covering for misery, fear, and hopelessness. The unsaved person's laughter hides a heart that is full of pain. The end result of that kind of life in the world is a heaviness that goes with them to the grave. If God does not draw their willing spirit to Him, they'll never know true joy. I can tell you also that the Christian who doesn't know or experience the power of this Bible is often just as downtrodden and joyless as the unsaved person can be. I never experienced joy from the Lord until I believed His book and began reading it, letting Him speak to me through it. I never sang a hymn, really sang a hymn, until the book began to work on me. Is your laughter hollow? Is your joy empty and meaningless? Read this book and meditate on it. Pray over its words and ask God for light from it. You will see things change. All right, we'll stop there and pick it up in verse 14 next. I'm asking you again, as I always do, to please read your Bible, study your Bible, cross-reference the verses, pray to God for wisdom and understanding, and share your interpretation with someone else. Someone near you needs to hear it. You can purchase my comments on Amazon, or you can just simply follow me on blogger.com or here. And if you watch the video this far, please click like and subscribe or follow. And if you disagree with me on something I've said or think I've missed the boat on something, it's fine to disagree. Go ahead and put it in the comments. All right? Have a good day.